Hi, and welcome back to yet another video. This is the 5th episode of the story about the time when Sasuke gives his sharingan eyes to Naruto on verge death in waves. Let's watch as Naruto Uzumaki, Uchiha takes world by storm. After you've finished watching, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The night was bitter cold, but was beautiful to behold at the same time. It seemed like every star in the night sky was visible and trying to outshine the one next to it. There was no moon, but that somehow added to the mystique of the night. It appeared that the sky was boundless as it stretched outwards towards infinity, filled with the white orbs as they twinkled in the blackness. The campfire crackled and provided some illumination as Naruto sat on a rock leaning back as he stared at the universe, feeling tiny and insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It was the last night before the Konoha participants arrived in Suna for the exams, and Naruto drew one of the straws that designated watch. The blonde didn't really mind as he wanted some time to think and reflect on his time as a shinobi since graduating before he took another big leap in his ninja career and a step closer to becoming Hokage. The Jonin lost himself to his thoughts, confident that his clones could watch the perimeter as he remembered the whirlwind that was his last 6 months and thought about his time on Team 7, both the good and the bad. Everything seemed so easy before I actually became a Jonin. I would save a few princesses, get Sakura-chan to like me, and the villagers to love me before I became Hokage. Then we became a team and did stupid missions like weeding gardens and walking dogs. And I can't forget that damn cat. It was nothing like I expected. Everything was still so simple back then. Naruto reached up and held his hand over Sasuke's eye, feeling the cool metal plate on his headband. Those were the days. I finally had people that acknowledged me, and even if it wasn't everybody, I was still happy with what I had. Then you had to die. I promised myself I wouldn't be afraid or run anymore on that mission, but maybe we should have. I would rather have you around than this. I wish I had taken this seriously since day one. If I tried as hard as I am now, maybe you could be here taking the exams with us, Sasuke. The Chunin hopeful was broken from his musing when he felt something disturb the stillness of the night. Snapping his wrist, a hidden kunai attached to a rope slid down his sleeve into his hands, but before he could throw it, a voice pierced the darkness. "Not bad, kid. I'm surprised that you managed to sense me." Naruto watched as the figure stepped out of the shadows to reveal Sakura's teacher Rin, wearing her brown traveling cloak as her eyes took him in like he was the only bit of water in this god-forsaken desert. "Yeah, well, when you have to run laps and dodge random shit getting thrown at your blind spot, you get pretty good at sensing things without your eyes." The brunette smiled down at him like the parents he saw after they picked their kids up from school. "Kakashi has done a good job with you, I see. God, you've grown so much, Naruto." Naruto looked at her suspiciously. "What are you talking about? I only met you 2 months ago." Sitting next to the blonde, she embraced him into a protective hug. "You may not remember me, Naruto-kun, but I can remember changing your diaper like it was yesterday. I took care of you as much as I could when you were a baby along with several others, but I had you most of the time when I wasn't on missions. It was heartbreaking when the Sun Daime took you out of my care and put you into an orphanage. I fought so hard to keep you and wanted to adopt you, but my relationship to your parents kept me from doing my duty to them. I'm so sorry, Naruto." The older woman seemed on the verge of tears as Naruto clumsily pat her back, unsure of what to do. "It's not every day that you find out that you could have had someone to take care of you and had a family after living virtually your whole life isolated and unloved." So he just rubbed her back in silence while thinking what to say. "It's okay. I may not remember you, but thanks for taking care of me as a baby. I don't blame you for what happened." Rin pulled away from leaving a wet spot on his shoulder and gave Naruto a teary smile. "I waited till I had an opportunity to talk to you alone since I saw you that day on the training fields, and it seems like I caught you when you were brooding." His blush barely visible in the dim firelight, Naruto responded, embarrassed. "I wasn't brooding. I was thinking about the last 6 months." Rin smiled sadly in Naruto's direction, but judging from the far-off look in her eyes, it was apparent that she was thinking about someone else. "You know, you and Kakashi got your sharingan in surprisingly similar circumstances. Our teammate was killed on a mission saving Kakashi and gave him the sharingan as he was dying. Kakashi changed a lot after that day, and I don't want to see you go down that same path that he did." Looking like he just remembered he had a coupon to Ichiraku ramen, Naruto asked, "Is that why you're always mad at him?" Rin turned away from Naruto. "I don't want to talk about that. But don't live in the past, okay? It's important to remember your fallen comrades and honor them. But if you're always looking back, you won't see what's in front of you, and that's the mistake your sensei makes every day." Naruto gave her a nod and she continued, "I actually made sure that you would get one of the straws tonight so we could talk. I'm really not supposed to be telling you this, but I think this will only get you to try harder, and I'm tired of listening to the Sun Daime concerning you. If you prove yourself Chunin material in these exams, then you will learn of your father as well. So good luck, and we'll talk more after these exams when you have a flak jacket." Naruto watched her back as she blended with the shadows and went back to her tent. Gaining a determined glint in his eye, Naruto raised his hand up to his chest before clenching it into a fist. "Alright, let's get serious. You better be ready soon because Uzumaki Naruto is going to stir shit up. I'm gonna ace these exams, then me and the old man are going to have a hell of a talk." TBO. Naruto was the last one to go through the checkpoint, and after he walked through the gates he met up with his team and took in the view. He couldn't see much of Suna when they approached because of the giant sand-colored wall, but from the little that he saw now he was glad to live in Hinokuni and Konohagakure. The streets were wide and made of sand, and a large contingent of ninja were gathered about 100 feet up the road, well within striking distance should trouble occur. The buildings were the same color as the streets, and the village was incredibly dull and unbearably hot. Even though the temperature was in triple digits, Naruto suddenly felt a chill go down his spine. Twisting his head calmly like he was taking in the surroundings, Naruto focused in on something. On the tallest building near the gate there was a red-headed kid with a gourd on his back that seemed like he was glaring down at Naruto, though it was hard to tell at this distance. Suddenly the sunlight flashed off a nearby mirror in a vendor's stall and right into the blonde's eye. By the time he finished rubbing the spots out of his vision, the redhead was gone, and he looked at his team just in time to see they were moving out and following Rin. After they arrived at the hotel lobby, Rin turned to the group and addressed them once more. "Alright, here are the rules for our stay. We have 3 days till the exam starts, and in those next 3 days I want everyone to keep a low profile. If you go anywhere outside your room you must be wearing your headband, but no visible weapons unless you are about to take part in an exam. Don't cause any trouble, and especially no international incidents." Her eyes lingered on Naruto just a second longer as she said that and flashed a brief smile. "Lights out will be at 10, so everyone be in by 9:50. Besides that, have fun and take the opportunity to see a different hidden village." Team 7 was led to their rooms. There was one large room with 3 twin beds, a television and bathroom. There was a door on the far wall that led to a slightly smaller room with a king-size bed, TV, and the bathroom had a sit-down shower and jacuzzi tub. Kakashi stepped into the separate room. "Okay guys, here's how it goes. In 2 days I will tell you where the exam is, and once I do that I cannot have contact with you till after the second exam. Remember that you are representatives of Konoha, so be on your best behavior, and if you have any questions before the exam just let me know. Also don't do anything I wouldn't do." The blonde watched as Kakashi closed the door and probably started reading his new porn. Turning to his teammates, Naruto began, "Hey guys, let's go out and see the town before doing some light training to get used to the heat." Sakura blinked at him a couple of times looking amazed. "Wow Naruto, that sounds like a good idea. I didn't know you had it in you." The blonde fell onto his bed and curled into the fetal position. "Sakura-chan is so mean." Sai began unpacking as he said, "I think I will stay in and rest for a little after our trip and begin drawing some scrolls for the exam. I do agree that we should do some light training. I believe we should meet at 5 when it starts to get cooler. No sense in overdoing it on the first day." Sakura pulled out one of the maps they were provided while pocketing another. After scanning it for a minute, she grabbed a pen off one of the bedside tables and circled an area on the map. "These are the training grounds designated to Konoha for the next 3 days. Let's meet at the entrance at 5 then." As Sai nodded and pulled out a scroll and his brush as the pink cat grabbed the blonde's wrist, "Let's go Naruto." The pair walked around Suna taking in the sights and buying a couple items from the vendors. Naruto got Sakura a small puppet and a painted fan showing a sunset as it fell behind a mountain and colored the sands purple and red. He also bought an orange scarf that he said was for someone back home. They passed the food area and decided to get some skewered rabbit and, feeling a little adventurous, some grilled snake meat to try, and to their surprise it tasted like chicken. Naruto was having a great time with Sakura until they rounded a corner and he felt something smash into his legs. Looking down he saw it was a little black-haired boy with gray eyes who looked around 6 years old. He was wearing a fancy brown cape with tan pants and a white long-sleeve shirt with Suna's symbol printed on the front. The blonde Jinan bent down and gently picked the boy up gently by his armpits and held him so he was at Naruto's eye level. "Hey, are you alright kid?" The kid let out a panicked squeak and covered his face with his arms. "Don't kill me, Leaf Nin." Naruto gave him a confused look. "Why would I kill you? You just ran into me, a simple apology would be fine." As he finished his sentence, a boy and girl who were probably a few years older than Naruto and Sakura came around the corner. The boy was wearing a black bodysuit with a circle on his chest that was maroon on the left side and gold on the right. He had the hood pulled up on the suit and it had 2 points on the top that looked like cat ears, and a strange pattern of purple makeup on his face. Needless to say, the boy looked ridiculous, But after a month and a half with the super pervert, Naruto could safely say that the girl was a beauty. She had spiky dirty blonde hair pulled into 4 ponytails that framed her slim angular face and stunning green eyes. She was wearing a white battle kimono cut off around mid-thigh and at her shoulders with fishnet just visible above her bust. She also had fishnet on her right calf and left thigh with a red sash around her waist with an end that trailed down to her black ninja sandals. The girl spoke for the two of them. "Sanaru, there you are. I'm sorry. Could you unhand him? He's escaped his bodyguard and needs to get back to his lessons." She glared at the boy when he twisted his neck to face her. "You're the grandson of the Namikaze Kage little cousin. How do you expect to become as powerful and honor his memory if you don't train hard?" The boy ignored the teen and turned back to Naruto, giving him a smug smile. "You hear that? I'm the grandson of the Namikaze Kage. You can't make me apologize, so put me down." Naruto's eye twitched as an image of Konohamaru superimposed itself over this kid. He decided to do what he did the first day they met too. Lightly bringing his fist down on the kid's head, much to his teammates' chagrin, Naruto responded to the mouthy kid, "I don't care if he's your grandmother, you ran into me so I deserve an apology." The boy in the weird suit glared at him. "What do you think you're doing? That kid is the grandson to one of the greatest shinobi Suna has ever known. He's practically royalty." Naruto shifted his eye to the Suna ninja. "I don't care who his grandfather is, cat boy. Names don't mean anything to me. It's not like this kid did anything worthwhile, and I'm not going to treat him different because his grandfather was famous." The pretty girl gave him an incredulous stare while Catman growled at him. "Why you? Who do you think you are? I hate punks like you. I should teach you a lesson." He raised his finger and pointed it at Naruto's feet. The blonde could feel chakra being used but couldn't see what was happening. "Luckily I left some clones behind after we got into the desert to practice fighting on sand." Pushing chakra into his feet to clump the sand together under them, Naruto jumped and landed slightly to the right of the boy, and as he landed spun and kicked up sand into his unprotected eyes. As the boy rubbed his eyes in pain, Naruto tapped into enough of the Kyuubi's chakra to ring his eyes red and call up a killer intent that he directed at the boy and coldly said, "That was a real good lesson you taught me. Thank you, crossdresser. Now I know that Suna shinobi are pathetic. By the way, you'd better hope you're not in the Chunin exams, or I'll leave nothing left but a smear of makeup on the floor for your tranny friends to find." They walked away from the boy as he rubbed the sand out of his eyes, and the girl let them go. Once the two rounded the corner, Sakura slugged Naruto into the nearest building. "Baka, what were you thinking? Wars have started over less, and the Namikaze Kage was the most beloved Kage in Suna's history. What you did was spitting on his legacy and a large insult to the people of Suna." Naruto was sprawled on the ground with swirls in his eyes. "Sakura-chan hits so hard. How long was I out? It must be nighttime. Look at all the pretty stars." Tamari looked at her brother as he was shaking on the ground. "Wow, you just got smacked around by a one-eyed blonde shrimp. That's pathetic. Look at you shaking on the ground. It's like Gaara just threatened to kill you." The kunoichi's eyes widened when she saw the look of pure terror on Kankuro's face when he turned to her. "Tamari, that kid might be worse than Gaara. After he kicked the sand into my eyes, he projected some killer intent at me. I couldn't breathe, sis. It wasn't psychotic or a lust for blood like Gaara, it was worse. It was like coming face to face with an ancient predator that could kill me at its leisure. It was like some raw primal hunger. Almost like he chose me and wasn't going to stop until he caught me and ripped the flesh from my bones. I can't really describe it." Surprised that Kankuro was comparing some harmless-looking Shinan to Gaara of all people, Tamari gave a questioning look at the direction they traveled. "You've piqued my interest. Take Sanaru back to his tutor and I'll find out about that kid since they're in the exams too." "Are you crazy, sis? That kid is dangerous, just stay away." "Look, Kankuro, if he's as dangerous as you say, it would be best to get some information beforehand. Besides," his eyes lingered on my boobs and legs. "I think I just need to use a lady's touch here, and judging by the flat chest with him, it shouldn't be too hard. Whatever you want to do, sis. But don't expect me to save you when it goes south." Tamari ignored the warning and jumped to the nearest rooftop and began scanning the streets for a flash of pink and blonde. She found them and decided to observe from the shadows for a little, and was beginning to doubt Kankuro's sanity after tailing them for half an hour. The kid was laughing with his teammate and generally being a good Samaritan. He just finished helping an old lady after she dropped her bags and was struggling to pick them up, and even made a clone to help carry the bags home, which was something Gaara would never do. Despite the surprise at seeing a solid clone, the kid obviously got lucky when he disabled Kankuro because they showed no signs of knowing that they were being followed. She leapt to the next roof as they moved from her line of sight, but she quickly found their distinctive hair colors and watched as they walked into a food stand. Tamari was about to call it off and go home when she felt something pointy on her neck. "Why are you following us? I'm just making sure you stay out of trouble. Although it was hilarious when you bopped the brat on his head, but one of my superiors saw and told me to trail you and make sure you don't cause any more trouble while staying here." She almost breathed a sigh of relief when she felt the point leave its resting place on her neck. She stood and turned to face the two. "My name is Tamari and it is a pleasure to meet you. Sorry about the misunderstanding." The two pocketed their kunai before the girl answered first. "I'm Sakura, and I'm sorry about the whole, well, everything. I didn't really want him to hit the kid or pull this off, and I figured it was protocol to get watched." The blonde whined at his teammate. "Sakura-chan, the guy that was watching us since we left the hotel is still on the roof over there." He pointed the ninja out and the Chunin cursed loudly at being detected. "Besides, that kid reminded me of someone I knew at home and I kinda didn't think about it, but you heard Tamari, she said that it was funny." "Baka, what did Rin-sensei say? Don't cause any international incidents, and you've almost caused two." Sakura sighed and put her palm over her face. "Besides, you haven't even introduced yourself to Tamari." Facing the Tsunejin, Naruto gave a sheepish smile. I'm sorry, my name is Naruto and it is nice to meet you." Tamari looked at the blonde while thinking, maybe Kankuro was right, to throw me off after only being out of my sight for a couple of seconds and to detect a Chunin tailing them. Hopefully him checking me out earlier means he's interested, and looking at his girlfriend, it shouldn't be too hard to get a meeting out of the palm of my hand. She's developed like a prepubescent boy. How about as an apology I show you a great place to take your girlfriend on a date? The two blushed as the blonde self-consciously kicked the sand before answering, we're not going out, just hanging out and exploring the village and trying to get used to the temperature before the exams." Giving the blonde a predatory smile that had him looking nervous, Tamari replied, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's just you're such a cutie that I figured you definitely have a girlfriend." She moved to Naruto's right and interlocked arms with him at their elbows. "Well, I'll show you a place that you can take me on a date if you impress me in the exams then." Naruto turned bright red and stuttered out, "Wewumi maybe, Sakura quickly grabbed Naruto's other arm and gave Tamari a dirty glare. "Don't be silly, you can't date him." "What about the exams? That's a conflict of interest." Smiling at the pink head and squeezed her biceps into her chest, amplifying her breasts. "Of course not during the exams, I'm talking about after they're done." Naruto couldn't answer as he was still a bumbling mess from the flirting, so Sakura answered for him, "No way, I don't think Naruto is the type of guy to go for a hussy like you." Tamari let go of the Jinan and angrily turned to face the kunoichi. "Please, I'm not a hussy, you bitch. I'm the daughter of the Namikaze Kage, and why would he want to date someone that's flatter than sandpaper? At least I look like a woman, you whore. Please, you tramp, you may be a woman but you're far from a lady. I'm only 13. They must have injected you with chemicals for seduction missions because you don't have much use as an actual ninja." Naruto managed to break out of his stupor and saw the two girls inches away from each other with lightning coming from their eyes, about to break out in a fight. Actually Tamari, we have to meet our other teammate for a light training session." Giving Naruto a sultry smile that caused his fading blush to darken once again, Tamari said, "Well, since I'm supposed to keep an eye on you, so I think I'll escort you two to the training fields." Sakura glared at the kunoichi, but Naruto gave her a 1000-megawatt smile. "That sounds great, Tamari. We have a map, but that'll be much easier." Once again taking his arm in hers, Tamari leapt off the building and started walking, trying to put some distance between them and Sakura, who hurried and grabbed his left arm and laced it through her right. The two girls shot glares at each other over a crimson Naruto while having a full-scale tug-of-war with the boy. The populace could only look on in wonder as the famous Tamari Haim, the Ice Queen of Suna, was competing with a pink-haired kunoichi over a short blonde boy from Konoha while walking through town. Sakura walked with the other Jinan from Team 7 towards the exam location with her stomach doing flips. Despite her nervousness, she feeling pretty excited to start the exams because it meant that they could finish quickly and leave Suna. Even though they had only been in the village for 2 days, Sakura couldn't wait to get away from the sand, heat, and harlots. Tamari came to the hotel again yesterday and was putting the moves on Naruto. "We just need to break something off in that skank's ass so she knows not to mess around with what belongs to us." After the jealousy wore off after their first meeting, Sakura didn't sweat the blonde because that whore was probably just using her ridiculous boobs to try and weasel out some information. That's why she didn't mind when Tamari appeared at their hotel the next day, but after spending most of the morning and afternoon with the Tsunejin, she noticed how she seemed to grip her teammate a little tighter, or how she would blush lightly when he would compliment her. She especially hated the smile when Naruto gave her something. "Why did you have to buy her that stupid stuffed weasel, Naruto? I wish it was like how it used to be when girls wouldn't give you the time of day. Why did I have to make you get rid of Orange?" The team held up when they came to the random doorway that was above ground. They opened it and descended down the staircase and along a tunnel into Suna's academy, which was underground to keep it cooler. When they entered the academy, their progress was stopped by a crowd of Genin milling around in confusion outside a door with 2 random Suna Genin outside of it. Sakura stopped her teammates. "We should try to get around. I sense a genjutsu, so this is probably some type of preliminary test to weed out the unprepared like the Academy one. Let's just sneak through." The team slipped through the crowd and was about to keep walking down the hallway when one of the Genin blocking the door called out, "Where are you little leafs going? You Konohans are so pathetic, you should just leave. Tree huggers have the least hope in the desert where there is little life, and the Suna exams historically have the highest death rate." Sakura had to fight down the vomit as the air thickened and pressure increased. It felt like she was near a dangerous animal. It wasn't malicious, but she knew that if it wanted to kill her, she was helpless to stop it. The pink cat noticed that several people collapsed under the killing intent and realized Naruto was the source. "Naruto, how did you do that?" Suddenly the air lightened and Team 7 continued on their way unimpeded. On their way to the exam room, they passed Team 9 and she heard Neji speak for the first time as he looked at Naruto. "That was an impressive trick back there, but parlor tricks won't work on me. I'm a prodigy, and a genius is always fated to beat a loser." Sakura saw the telltale signs that Naruto was pissed and trying to control it. His fists were clenched hard enough that blood was dripping down his fingers. His shoulders were shaking uncontrollably, and his legs were locked at the knees. "Shut up, team. It's arrogant people like you that piss me off the most. You don't know me, but you think that I'm trash. Well, you better hope that we don't fight in the exams or I'll show you what your fate really is." Naruto stormed away after his tirade as Neji scoffed before Sakura and Sai hurried behind him to catch up after she gave Tenten a nod and a good luck. They quickly arrived at the real door to the first exam before going inside. It was almost surreal to Sakura. The doors burst open even though Sai hardly touched them, and the room went silent as she estimated 40 or more teams were giving them death glares. She steeled herself when she saw Naruto returning them twice as hard with one eye. "Wait, why are there red rings in his eye?" Sakura shook her head as the rings disappeared and everybody in the room turned away cowed except for an intimidating redhead that was glaring at Naruto like he wanted to rip him apart and watch him bleed just for the fun of it, who was also releasing his own killing intent. He was wearing an all-black outfit with a white sash going diagonally across his chest that was over a brown belt going across his torso the other way that held a large gourd made of sand. He had teal eyes with dark black rings around them with the kanji for love over his left eye. Sakura looked and saw Tamari with a fan strapped to her back behind the boy as she winked and blew a kiss at Naruto, causing him to blush and turn away. After they settled into an area where they saw other teams with Konoha headbands, Sakura turned and noticed the other 6 rookies and gave Ino a superior look that had the blonde fuming. Feeling more secure surrounded by friends, Sakura sat down and closed her eyes while trying to calm her racing nerves. When she opened them, the anxiety surged back up when the intimidating redhead was standing there in front of Naruto with his arms crossed, not bothered by the glares from the Konoha, like he knew they couldn't hurt them even if they all tried their hardest. "You, blonde kid. I want to know your name." Naruto stood up and returned the intimidating stare. "It's polite to give your own name before asking others." Sakura cursed her teammates' stupidity and pride before the redhead responded after several seconds without moving. "My name is Sabaku no Gaara." Naruto shifted and leaned forward as his eye hardened even more. "Uzumaki Naruto." A deranged smile came onto Gaara's face. "I sense something in you, Uzumaki. It feels dangerous and powerful, and I am looking forward to killing you in these exams because of it." Naruto looked slightly nervous, but it wasn't from the calmly delivered death threat. It happened after Gaara said he sensed something in him as he rubbed his stomach. "I don't know what you're talking about, but if you want to kill me you'll find that it isn't that easy." "Oh yes, you know exactly what I am talking about, Uzumaki. You and me are a lot alike. You may be surrounded by fools ignorant to the truth, but I am not one of them. You and I are monsters, Uzumaki. That is why your blood shall be the sweetest so far, the ultimate proof of my existence." Naruto rubbed his stomach as understanding came onto his face. "Neither of us are monsters, Gaara. We're just people that carry large burdens. I don't know why you want to kill me, but if you put my friends in danger, it's your life that you should be worried about." Gaara gave him a confused look. "What do you mean? You are like me, but you don't fight for yourself, you fight for other people." The boy grabbed his head like he had a migraine. "No, mother." "Yes, I know. No, I shall kill him for you, mother. Gaara is a good boy." Sand was chaotically swirling around the redhead as everyone stepped back and killing intent permeated the air, making it hard to breathe. But before the room could explode into a bloodbath, a puff of smoke appeared, and in the front of the room was a man wearing a brown cloak that reached the floor with his head wrapped in bandages, leaving only his eyes exposed with a bit of skin that appeared to be scarred and tufts of white hair poking through. After the smoke disappeared, another cloud formed behind him that dispersed, revealing about 20 Chunin. Sit down and shut up. If you look at the back of your entry cards, you'll notice a number. Seating is arranged by team, so if you don't find the number and sit down in less than 2 minutes, you're disqualified. Gaara calmly walked away as the room exploded into a frenzy as Naruto summoned some clones that located the spot and called them over. Once everybody was seated with 20 seconds to spare, the man began. My name is Itsuki and I will be your proctor for this exam, and I have a few rules to explain. First rule is that there will be no violence. Failure to comply to this rule will lead to immediate expulsion. Now if you look down, you will see either a brown or yellow paper. By the end of the exam, you must have both sheets in front of you. If for any reason you do not have a sheet of paper in front of you at any point, then you fail. If you do not have both sheets after 55 minutes, then you fail. There are no questions, the exam starts now. Naruto formed 12 clones that set up a perimeter. While it appeared other teams entered defensive positions looking outwards, and some completely covered their papers from view. All the Shinan were mostly sitting still and glaring distrustfully at the other contestants. The room was motionless for about 5 minutes until Shikamaru muttered troublesome and stood up with his hands resting on top of his head, and the 3 people next to him copied his actions as Ino grabbed the paper in front of them. Team 28, you fail. Sakura watched as one of the clones Naruto created as it walked over to Team 10 before whispering something into Shikamaru's ear. The lazy teen sighed before making the hand sign again and trapping another team as the clone walked up and took their paper before they too stood up and left. Gaara then walked over to a team from Tanya and made them pass out from his killing intent before taking the paper. One team started freaking out about bugs that were covering them, while Akamaru grabbed their paper and ran back to Kiba after peeing on their legs. Tenten whispered something to Lee, who immediately jumped onto a desk in front of an all-male team before doing some stretches that accentuated some naughty areas under his spandex. Needless to say, the team all passed out, 2 from disgust and vomiting too much and the other from a nosebleed. Which was pretty disturbing. Sakura was utterly flabbergasted when a Jinan from Kumo, a non-allied nation, got up. She was blonde with an icy face and was wearing a black shirt that hugged her massive breasts and tight purple pants with a tanto strapped diagonally across her shoulder blades. She walked over to another all-male team and bent over the desks as they launched back with nosebleeds, and she took their slightly bloody sheet. Other teams continued to try and pilfer sheets, and at one point the air conditioning turned on and let loose a massive gust that blew some papers into the air, creating a free-for-all. Eventually the 55 minutes were up as Itsuki called for a halt. Alright punks, that's time. Now for the next part. The room exploded into chatter as a random Jinan shouted out, "What? That's not fair. I thought this was the only test." Not even showing a sign that he cared about the interruption, the bandaged man continued, "The ninja world is hardly fair, kid. A lot of times you won't get all the information up front because it is not available, but remember that information is a ninja's lifeblood. As I was saying before the interruption, it's time for the next part." He held up a triangular piece of glass in a stone frame. "Those papers hold information that you need, but to read it you need a decoder like this. To get it you have to fight a Jounin and steal it from them. Since the number of Jinan are so low, I will show a little mercy to those remaining. To those teams with only one paper, you can continue this exam, but half of the valuable information will be missing and you must completely incapacitate the Jounin. The ninja you are fighting is authorized to use lethal force, so your lives are on the line. If you fail to take the decoder from him, you are banned from taking the next Chunin exams in Konoha, but if you choose to drop out, there will be no consequences." Looking around the room, Sakura saw a horde of teams stand up. She looked at her 2 teammates and gave them resolute nods as they faced forward, ready for the challenge to come. There were probably around 30 teams left, but Sakura could only count 16 when people stopped leaving. 4 from Konoha, 1 from Kumo, 10 from Suna, and 1 from Kusa. When it became apparent that nobody was leaving, the proctor formed a hand seal and said "Kai" as the desks wavered and drawers became visible. "Please open the drawers in the desks." Naruto's jaw dropped as he did. "Eh? We don't get to fight a Jounin?" He got quite a few weird looks as Itsuki laughed. "Nope kid, that was just to see if you were willing to risk something to advance. If you don't have the guts, then there's no point in being a ninja. If you run away at the first sign of danger, then you can't call yourself a shinobi." Sakura glared at the back of Tamari's head, willing it to explode, but she had no such luck as the sandy blonde asked, "What was the point of the papers?" "That was to test your ability to gather information. Some of you created distractions, others took the information, and there was nothing that could have been done to stop them. There was seduction used and countless other methods. Now if you open the drawers you will see the decoder that will allow you to read the paper." Sakura opened the drawer and held the glass so they could see the papers clearly, and the room face faulted in uniform except Shino, Neji, Samui, And Gaara while Itsuki laughed as the papers simply read, "Congratulations, you passed the first exam." As he finished, the door opened and a woman walked in wearing spandex shorts and a maroon skirt that just reached below her shapely butt. She was also wearing a skin-tight tank top under a black corset that accentuated her D-cup breasts. "Alright you brats, the next test starts tomorrow and you will be putting your worthless lives on the line. The coordinates are being delivered to your hotel rooms, and any team not fully assembled at the meeting place at 9 sharp will fail." She disappeared with the rest of the proctors in a puff of smoke, leaving the Junon teams alone. Sakura grabbed a dazed and blushing Naruto before Tamara could close in and Sai just followed her. Tenten double-checked her scrolls that contained food, water, and camping equipment and stuffed them in a backpack before making sure that everyone had what they needed to survive for several days in the desert. "I swear without me Lee would run around in underwear and Neji would forget his." The exams were definitely intense so far, and they seemed a lot more dangerous than she thought they'd be beforehand. To add to the drama, Neji noticed the Kumo ninja and she was hoping that he doesn't do anything stupid if they happen run into each other. Then there was that creepy redhead that threatened Naruto. It was amazing that he didn't scare the blonde because Tenten was terrified and he wasn't even focused on her, though Naruto projected some pretty powerful killing intent too. I wonder how he did that. I don't think he has a mean bone in his body. Anybody that could tolerate Lee and Guy Sensei without snapping is a saint. When she was about to go rinse off before lunch, there was a knock at the door. When she opened it, Tenten realized that it was the Aburame that was on Hinata's team. "Can I help you?" The strange boy responded in a monotone. "I would like to ask a favor of your team. You saw that there was a Kumo team, and we think that there is a possibility that they will try to abduct Hinata. Logically it would make sense to reach out to our fellow Konohanin and ask that if you suspect foul play you help us out." After getting over the weirdness of the Aburame, Tenten answered, "Well, I would love to. I think Hinata is a really sweet girl, but Neji doesn't agree with me and he might have a bone to pick with the Kumonin. I'd like to help, but I think we should sit this one out for both our team's sake. If I see something I'll try to let you know." The boy turned his head as his black lenses reflected the light pouring in from the window in the hall. "Very well, that is a rational reason because it would not be wise to put our teams in that situation. I am sorry to have wasted your time. It looks like I will have to go to Plan B." The tall Jinan left after his response, leaving Tenten standing in the open door. Strange kid. Shikamaru was lying on the bed trying to tune out Ino's nagging so he could take a nap. Ever since they lost to Team 7, the annoying blonde has been on a rampage and nagging them even more. "Shikamaru, are you listening to me? I said, do you have everything that we'll need if we're in the desert for a prolonged period?" Rolling over, the lazy boy covered his ears with his pillow trying to ignore the blonde's pestering. It didn't exactly work as she dragged him off the bed by pulling the covers off. As he hit the floor, Shikamaru moaned, "Troublesome woman, I have everything ready because I haven't unpacked yet. It'd be too much of a drag." The irate blonde's eyebrow was twitching as he stood up and showed her his bag before he fell face first back onto the bed. "Shikamaru, you better be taking this seriously. If we lose to Forehead's team again, I'll make your mom seem not troublesome." Kuji finished packing his food bag, which was almost as big as him, and started putting his camping supplies in a smaller one. "Ino, why are you so mad at Sakura? It's not like you guys are both going after the same boy anymore." Ino huffed and turned away from her teammates. "Because it's Forehead. She thinks that she's so great and 1,000 times better than me, but I'll show her. If that walking billboard thinks that she can look down on me, then she's got another thing coming. She's pathetic, and if she beats me, then what does that make me?" Not moving from his spot, Shikamaru's voice was muffled by the mattress. "I don't know if you noticed, but Sakura has gotten a lot better since the academy. I saw weights under those sleeves and around her ankles, and I've also seen her at the library quite a bit. She also looks like a serious kunoichi and apparently learned how to use senbon. You on the other hand don't do much. You do half of the physical exercises that I do and only know the weakest of your clan jutsu. Do you honestly think that 2 weeks with your mom is enough to make a difference?" I heard from Asuma-sensei that Kurenai said after giving Sakura a lesson on genjutsu that she shows the most effort and has the most potential of all the kunoichi in our age range, and Sensei also showed me the rankings after I beat him and Shogi. Team 7 completed less missions than all the other Junon teams in circulation. They were still ranked the second strongest team and managed to complete 2A ranked missions, while we are ranked near the bottom of the teams attending the exams. The blonde was still facing away from Shika and Kuji, but her head dipped and her nails dug into her palms, leaving small trails of blood. "I don't care what Kurenai said." The blonde popped off her fake nails and threw them in the garbage. "If everybody thinks that Forehead is the greatest, I'll prove them wrong." She took the decorative earrings out of her ear and bracelets off. "Starting now, I take this seriously and I'll show Sakura who the top bitch around here is." There was a knock on the door, and when Kuji answered it they saw Kiba on the other side. "Hey guys, can I come in?" Ino gave the Inuzuka and his dog a suspicious look. "Why would we let a competitor in?" Kiba frowned then sighed. "Fine, but I'm not gonna do anything fishy, I promise. I take it you guys say those Kumonin." Shikamaru sat up and gave the dog user a serious look. "So you guys think that they might make an attempt at Hinata?" "I've been thinking the same thing. It's far-fetched but still a possibility." Kiba nodded towards Shikamaru. "Exactly, we just want you guys to keep a lookout because we can't talk to our sensei about it." The three Jonin of Team 10 looked at each other and nodded before Ino spoke for them. "I don't know what we can do, but we'll definitely help." The Inuzuka smiled, showing his elongated canines as Akamaru barked, "Thanks guys, we actually have some headsets so you guys can take one and we'll let you know if something goes down. And we can also use them to help the other teams if we can." He tossed Shikamaru the headset as he pocketed it. "Alright Kiba, we'll see you tomorrow." The dog user waved as he and Akamaru went down the hall and back to their room. Shikamaru looked at his teammates before flopping down onto his back. "I really hope that Kuma doesn't do anything troublesome tomorrow. If they do something during the exams it will definitely be war." Naruto finished sealing the scrolls into smaller ones that he stuffed into some of his many jacket pockets before standing up. "Alright, if what Kakashi-sensei said is true, the exams always feature a survival portion and one-on-one matches is always the third exam, and we have enough supplies to last a month out in the desert." Sakura finished packing her medical gear and took the scroll containing her extra senbon and packed it as well before talking to her teammates. "I don't think it will be for a month, so we should pack a decoy bag so if people come after us for supplies they don't think we have sealing scrolls." Sai looked up from the scrolls he was preparing for sticky situations. "That's a good idea, Ugly. But what we really need to watch out for is Gaara. He is dangerous and it would be best if we avoided him." Sakura shivered as she remembered the standoff that happened earlier. "I agree with that. He's a psycho. If what we saw was any indication, he uses sand, and if we were to fight in the desert it would be on his terms. It would definitely be wise to keep our distance from that team." Naruto's face was grim as he addressed Sakura and Sai. "I don't think that we can avoid him for long, maybe a day or two at most. We should avoid sand and find rocks to travel on. He's coming for me and if he shows up I want you guys to run." Sakura looked betrayed at that. "Naruto, we won't leave you. Remember Team 7's mantra? We don't abandon our comrades. If he finds us we'll take him and that slutty bitch down." "That's right, shove sand in that bitch's vagina and cut that cow's udders off, Shanaro." Sai put down the scroll and gave Naruto a real smile. "That's right Naruto-kun, we are teammates and have a bond that I'll fight to protect. I will not let you fight alone, that is not what friends do." Naruto looked away from them as he tried to fight a tear down. Luckily for him there was a knock on the door and when he opened it he saw Shino on the other side. "Hey Shino, come on in." The odd boy stepped in before addressing Team 7. "I have come to ask a question. Kumo has tried in the past to abduct Hinata and there is the chance that they will again. I have come to hoping that you will help us keep a lookout as logic dictates that there is strength in numbers." Naruto nodded. "No problem, we look out for fellow Leaf Nin." Shino nodded. "It is good to see that you care for your comrades because if you don't that could lead to negative feelings that could lower performance on missions." Sunlight glinted off his glasses as the trio from Team 7 sweat dropped and Sakura answered, Right, we'll do what we can but it's not like we could do much." Shino inclined his head acknowledging the point. "Yes, that is true, but I have one headset here that we could use to communicate." Naruto snatched the headset up and put it into a pocket. "You got it Shino, we'll definitely help you out if it comes down to it." The boy nodded and turned away. "I will leave you to your strategizing and I thank you for your help. Hinata is waiting for us so we can begin our strategy session. She will be delighted to hear that her classmates are helping." A beautiful blonde with large breasts and a Kumo headband sided her teammates' antics. The thin dark-skinned redhead with gold eyes wearing a plain gray silk shirt with long sleeves and tight black pants was arguing with her secret crush Amoe, who was equally dark-skinned with white hair and black eyes wearing a black shirt with gray clouds randomly placed on it and gray pants. The duo was arguing because he called her flat-chested once again. She gripped her lower back and tried to ignore Kuro's yelling, "Man, my back has been starting to hurt recently, I need a massage." Having enough of their pointless arguing, the calm blonde interrupted them. "That's enough you two, we need to talk about the mission that we have to accomplish. Rikage-sama sent us to see if Konoha sent their Jinchuriki and gather information on its abilities. It's been 13 years since the attack and according to our intel he should be attending these exams, and I have a hunch that it's that blonde kid with one eye. That killing intent he put out in the hallway and when he entered the room was inhuman. It may have been different than theirs, but it was still slightly similar to B-sensei, Yugi Ito, And that Gaara kid who all house-tailed beasts. Carrot turned away from Amoe before she responded, that makes sense, but we should keep our distance, we only need to find some information and I don't want to fight a container. I think we should tail Gaara after finding the animals because he wanted to fight that kid. After pulling out a sucker and pulling off the wrapper, Amoe started worrying, but Gaara's really dangerous, what if we accidentally alert him and he tries to crush us? Samui will probably live because of her huge melons might stop him from killing her, but flat chests like you and me will definitely get crushed. Oh man, what if we die and B-sensei gets mad and goes on a rampage? Then because of that war starts between Suna and Kumo. Konoha would join in to fight with their ally and Iwa would as well to get back at Konoha. Before you know it we would be in the 4th Shinobi War. What if some rogue ninja use it to advance their nefarious schemes and take over the world? The fiery redhead smashed Amoe in the face before he could continue. Don't say stupid things. Samui just lay down on her bed trying to rest her aching back. I can never get a break, can I? Tamari opened the door to her house after getting water from the public reserves for the next test. After making sure that everything was packed, she left her bag on the hook by the door and went upstairs. As she opened the door to her room, she could just make out Gaara's manic whispering from his room, "I'll show him tomorrow. Fighting for other people just makes you weak. Yes mother, don't worry, I will give you his blood and it will be sweet. He's a monster too and people don't look at him with fear. I hate him, I want to kill him. Yes mother, we shall rip him to shreds and cover the sand in his blood." The oldest child of the Kazekage shivered and entered her room. She considered herself pretty brave, but Gaara could scare her no matter what. Tamari tried to reach out to her brother several times when she was younger after he started living with them after Yashimaru. He would turn each one away in the last attempt with violence, so she stopped trying, but she couldn't stop hoping that one day he might change for the better. The sound of glass breaking came from Gaara's room as he descended into another one of his frenzies. "I'm sorry Naruto, you seem like a nice kid but you're Gaara's prey now. I wish I could stop him, but when Gaara wants something he reaches out and seizes it and not even the Kazekage can stop him." Tamari just lay on her bed apathetically. She actually had fun with Naruto and the pink-haired harpy, and if he was a Suna ninja she would probably pursue him. He's not drop-dead gorgeous, but he's cute in his own way and will probably look better when he loses the baby fat and I have to look up to talk to him, and I just want to stroke his whiskers and see what happens. Probably the best thing is that he's not cocky like everybody else, but he's definitely competent even if he tries to hide it. Not many people can fool me like he did when they caught me on the roof. Oh well, I should forget about him because nothing he does will matter after Gaara gets a hold of him. 48 Janan stood in front of the provocatively dressed women from yesterday as she explained the second test. "Alright maggots, my name is Hisako and I'll be the proctor for the second exams. If you look at the board it gives you a rough map of the area fenced in behind me. The land behind the fence is actually a wildlife reserve, and you will be completing a faux mission in there." She pulled out a strange glass container with small air holes and a circular black base. Each team will get one of these containers before the exam starts at their gate. Inside the reserve are these two animals that you will be looking for and must capture and bring back. She flipped the board holding the map over and there were two large pictures of an albino snake and brown scorpion with red markings on its back and legs. These are two creatures that we use for creating muscle relaxants and other medicines in the hospital. To pass the exam, you must bring back one of each and they must be marked with a yellow tag that says harvest, meaning they are mature enough that we can extract a good amount of venom from them. There are 16 teams, so there are 16 snakes and scorpions tagged, but to bring both back you will need 2 containers, otherwise the 2 predators are likely to kill one another before you can return, so theoretically only 8 teams can pass. The proctor flipped the board back around and showed them the map as she pointed to 2 areas. "The way we fence this area and places the habitats of these 2 animals in roughly the middle of it. The snakes are the one farther left and scorpions on the right. You have 3 days before the test is over because 3 days is the maximum amount of days you can survive without fresh water and we don't want to kill too many of the pathetic ones. The gates will open at 10 and you have to sign a waiver that says Sunagaku no Sato is not responsible in any way, shape or form for anything that happens to you behind this fence. After signing the document you will receive one of these containers. The gates will open at 10 and your assigned gate is shown on the map. You have approximately 40 minutes before we begin." It was 9:59 as Damari and Kankuro uneasily watched their younger brother as he held his head and communed with the Shukaku. Even the Chunin proctor looked nervous as the sand was writhing in anticipation near his feet. The proctor's watch beeped as he quickly unlocked the gate and ran away from Gaara as quickly as he could. The deranged redhead stood straight up as the lock hit the sand and a manic grin formed on his face and the bloodlust oozed off his body in waves as he screamed into the air, You Uzumaki, you can't hide from me forever. The desert is my hunting grounds and I will find you then kill you. Your blood will be spread across the sandy plains after I've had my fun. I'm coming for you Uzumaki Naruto, I will bathe in your blood. Kabuto was traveling with his team near the border of Rice Country on a routine C-rank mission. He told his teammates that their mission to retrieve livestock was a sham by Orochimaru in order to meet a contact and receive new orders, but they were beginning to get frustrated with all the walking and they were near the border of Tano Kuni. His two fake Shinon teammates wore the same outfit as him except they had a purple veil covering their lower faces and wore sunglasses instead of spectacles. Their sensei was in the standard Konoha uniform with a turtleneck that came up and covered his chin. He wore glasses and had spiky brown hair with a part in the middle, walking forward aimlessly with glassy eyes because of the genjutsu Kabuto placed on him. Yoroi stopped grumbling and asked Kabuto, "When are we meeting this contact? We've been walking forever and you still haven't told us what the change in plans are. I mean, first the invasion gets cancelled and now this." The silver-haired teen gave his teammate a smile. "Oh sorry, that slipped my mind." Taking pleasure in the annoyed twitch his teammates were showing, the silver-haired teen continued, "You see, we were never meeting a contact to begin with, I just said that so you'd follow along quietly." Kabuto disappeared from where he was standing and snapped their Jounin sensei's neck before putting some distance between him and his bewildered teammates. This was an actual mission request that was sent to Konoha by some puissant village, but my orders were to abandon Konoha on the next C-rank mission and return to Orochimaru-sama's side. I would have brought you two along if you had any worth, but he has no need for weak followers, so it is time for you two to do your duty and get sacrificed for the advancement of Orochimaru-sama's plans. That is the only purpose of a pawn after all. Yoroi's hand was glowing and Misumi dislocated his joints and extended his body before the elongated Jounin spit at Kabuto's feet. "We faithfully served him for years and now he throws us away. Well, we'll have to kill you and say that you were a double agent. They'll probably promote us to Chunin or something for this." Yoroi agreed. "Yeah, you think we didn't prepare for this eventuality? You can't take the two of us on, and even if you somehow do, we have two lockboxes that will be opened in case of our death, revealing all we know of Orochimaru. If you let us go, we'll cover for you saying we were ambushed and nobody will be any wiser." Kabuto laughed, not the fake cheerful one he usually uses but a high-pitched crazed cackle. "Oh, that's too rich. I would be worried except for three things. 1. You both know nothing of Orochimaru-sama or his plans. You two think that we're on a similar level, but I am really leagues ahead of the both of you. And 3. I have those two boxes right here and replace them with pictures that were showing you two in an intimate position or two." Kabuto heaved the lockboxes at the pair, and to their credit the two dodged despite their shock, but the spy was aiming to miss. He threw several of his scalpels at them as they landed, but the two avoided them as well. However, Yoroi landed in front of one of the boxes. A quick substitution later, Kabuto was behind him and stabbed a standard kunai into his shoulder, piercing the axillary artery, and watched as the stocky man fell forward, trying to keep the red liquid from squirting out of his shoulder as he bled to death. Kabuto turned to face Misumi and gave him a sadistic smile as he licked the bloody kunai. The Jounin started to backpedal. "Get away from me, I don't want to die. Please, I'll do anything you want, anything." The boy kept moving backwards and tripped on a rock as he crab walked away from Kabuto. "Please, I always tried my best to serve Orochimaru-sama, I'll try harder in the future." Kabuto delighted in the fear on Misumi's face as the wretch got on his knees and pleaded when the bespectacled teen stopped walking. "Oh my, it seems my old blood has awoken." The man looked at his sniveling teammate with anticipation. "I've been doing so good too." "Oh well." Kabuto blurred behind Misumi as he continued to grovel before charging the kunai with his chakra and decapitating the spineless worm. Kabuto laughed as the blood showered out of the arteries and veins in his neck as the heart continued to beat. The teen danced under the blood fountain as he whirled over to Yoroi's body and saw he was struggling to pinch the artery closed while watching the lunatic dance. "You're a freak." Kabuto stopped his twirling and gave a disappointed look towards the bleeding pig. "Oh poo, why couldn't you have the decency to die?" Something must have occurred to Kabuto as his face lit up like it was Christmas. "Actually, that's a good thing because the way you died was so very disappointing. It was rather dull now that I think about it. But I'm sure that if I try harder I can do better." The teen reached into his pouch and unrolled ninja wire and pulled out 2 balls of exploding notes. He healed the bleeding wound before he tied up the pale Jounin with the wire as he cried and begged. It was music to his ears. He then shoved one of the balls into Yoroi's rectum as he was blubbering, and the unfortunate Jounin let loose a pained scream before Kabuto shut him up with the other one by shoving the ball of explosives into his gaping mouth. The boy then put some distance between them before he snapped his hands and gleefully watched as Yoroi exploded into chunks of meat while he cackled. Kabuto danced around the bloody clearing and relived the joys of turning his ex-team's world upside down. When the silver-haired teen came down from his high, he took in the body of Misumi. Oh my, I really lost my cool for a second there. I better blow up his body as well, otherwise they may make a positive idea on me as the killer because of my chakra in the wound. After destroying Misumi's body with his last ball of explosives, Kabuto stabbed and slashed himself repeatedly with one of his curved kunai, spilling his blood, and held off his healing ability as he made the area around them look like they were ambushed by 4 rogue nin using his Shikan no Jutsu, Dead Soul technique. After laying a fake trail in pursuit towards the valley, Kabuto jumped into the water before letting it carry him down for an hour or so and got out confident that he successfully faked his own death. After another several hours of traveling, the teenager came to an abandoned town deep within the borders of Tano Kuni and entered an old tattoo parlor before channeling chakra into the rusty lever on the chair closest to the door, unlocking it and allowing him to pull it. His glasses reflected light off the mirror as he watched it rise off the floor, revealing a staircase that spiraled down into darkness. Lighting his hands with chakra, Kabuto walked down the stairs as the chair lowered behind him and followed a hallway until he came to the main room and knocked on the door. When he entered with his master's permission, Kabuto got on his hands and knees to bow while he basked in the glory that was created by the man's presence. He had long black hair that cascaded down his back, stopping at his waist, and was incredibly pale with narrow golden eyes that had snake-like slits for pupils and strange purple markings around his eyes. He was wearing a tight black bodysuit with long yellow robes tied with a large rope belt knotted like a pretzel, and wore blue earrings shaped like tomos. This man was Orochimaru of the Sannin, and to be in his presence was almost orgasmic to Kabuto. Bowing before his true master, the silver-haired youth addressed him, "Orochimaru-sama, I have returned to serve you." "Kukaku Kabuto, prompt as always I see. It is fortunate you have arrived, follow me." The lithe man stood up and appeared to float from his throne past Kabuto and through the hallways. Kabuto was in awe at the power he was radiating and the confidence to show a known double age in his back. Yes, it has been too long since he's been in his master's presence. Following the legendary ninja in silence, he waited as the serpentine man stopped in front of a door and opened it, revealing a teen as pale as the snake summoner with white hair that stopped just above his shoulders, with 2 red dots in the middle of his forehead and just above his eyes, with a blanket pulled up to his neck. He lay in a bed connected to a respirator and in a chemical coma, with tubes entering and exiting his body, providing nutrients and draining bodily waste. "So this is why you have recalled me." I confess to being slightly disappointed. I had hoped that I would be working with Sasuke's DNA sample. Orochimaru gave Kabuto a smile that would make babies cry. "Of course you would, Kabuto, but I currently have Karen working on that. She will be trying to create clones, and I doubt she will have much success if even I couldn't do it with the Sha Diamond Kimimaro. But it's so fun to scare her into thinking I suspect success. She also used some semen we were able to collect and attempted to fertilize several eggs donated by the strongest Kunoichi and Sound's forces and several Nukenin that refused to serve me. Unfortunately, Sasuke-kun was almost impotent and only one was successfully fertilized. I just wish that it was Goren's. Regardless, in almost 9 months Otogakure will house one of the last 3 Uchiha. It is a shame that more weren't conceived, because I was hoping to do some tests injecting Jugo's enzymes or my chakra and DNA into the infant, but with this I can repopulate the Uchiha and make them loyal to me and carry those out down the line. I'll have as many bodies as I need for all eternity. All the jutsu in the world will be known to me." Kabuto bowed towards the pale man. "I understand, Orochimaru-sama. I will try my best to diagnose and cure Kimimaro." Orochimaru was already out the door, but his voice reached Kabuto. "Kukaku, of course you will, Kabuto. There is a reason you are my favorite after all. You know that if I have no use for someone I will toss them to the side, yet you continue to serve me." The snake man couldn't hear him, but Kabuto spoke anyway. "But therein lies the key. I make sure I'll always be of use to you, Orochimaru-sama." Team 7 was moving slowly with Dan cloaks on to camouflage them as they slowly traversed through the preserve, conserving their stamina while they figured out a game plan for the exam. The Kunoichi of the team voiced her opinion, while scribbling on a scroll. "Listen guys, I memorized the map that was on the board and just finished drawing it." She flipped the scroll she was drawing over to face them and pointed to a spot on the edge of the territory. "We started here, so that means we are closer to where the scorpion's habitat is. We should go there first and try to look around, but we should keep a lookout for Suna Shinobi. I'm sure none of us know a lot about scorpion or snake behavior, so it would be best to follow their lead and let them do the work. Scorpions are nasty." The blonde of the team sheepishly scratched his head. "Actually, Kaka-sensei and Uro-senin gave me some desert survival books and they detailed the behavior of scorpions and snakes because of the danger they present." Sakura was so flabbergasted she couldn't speak and was stammering, so the ink user spoke up. "Wow, Dickless, that's amazing. Even if your penis is non-existent, at least you have a brain. That's good. I was beginning to doubt its existence." Naruto growled at Sai before continuing, right, well, here's what we have to do. During the day they like to hide under rocks, in caves, or burrow into the sand. If we look for them when it's light out, we'll have to check enclosed spaces, and that will leave us vulnerable to ambush. I'll send some clones ahead of us to scout the area and find some scorpion dens before we set up an ambush around the best location while my clones keep watch at the others. If we don't get anything during the day, we can just look for them at night because that is when they come out to hunt. Sai, I want you to draw some small lizards and mice to use as bait, and I'll send out my clones with them when we look at night. Sakura and Sai mulled it over before nodding as the pink head answered, that sounds good, but what are we going to do about the snakes? I think that it would be best if we tried to ambush people as they traverse from the snake to scorpion habitat and try to ambush them. Naruto shook his head. I don't think we should bank on that strategy. Let's try to steal a jar here and capture 2 scorpions, then maybe we could trade someone that has a snake or something. If not, we'll at least have 2 containers, and if worse comes to worse, I'll henge a shadow clone into one of those so we can use that to carry the snake and just hope it doesn't get popped while we travel. The 3 agreed on the strategy and pick up the pace towards the habitat. Suddenly the headset in Naruto's ear crackled. Come in, Team Scarecrow, this is Team Illusion. We are detecting your presence in the area, but Team Smokestack started closer to the snakes near the Kumonens. Oh hi Shino, yeah, come meet up with us then. Pranking, it is illogical to use real names when code names are set up. Naruto face faulted because sweat dropping might have dehydrated him. Shino, I mean Bugsy, we're not doing Black Ops, we don't really need code names. That is irrelevant because practice makes perfect. What if you are on a mission and because you didn't practice using code names, so you say the person's real name? An enemy overhears and positively identifies you as a Leaf Nin. Because of that we could be at war. Naruto jumped when a voice came from behind him. That is why it is commonsensical to always follow protocol. Gosh, Shino, don't do that. Kiba clapped Naruto on the shoulder. Hey buddy, you guys going to the scorpion area too? Naruto shrugged Kiba's hand off his shoulder. I'm not your buddy guy. Kiba snarled. I'm not your guy friend. Naruto bit out. I'm not your friend buddy. I'm not your buddy guy. I'm not your guy friend. I'm not your friend guy. Sakura's fist made contact with the tops of both their heads and left them sprawled on the ground while a pair of lavender eyes narrowed at her before softening when regarding the blonde. And then Naruto-kun, you okay? Naruto sprang to his feet and gave her a foxy smile that caused all the blood to rush to her head. Yeah, I'm fine. Sakura-chan usually hits harder than that. The timid girl frowned. That's and not very nice. Ushssh shouldn't have to deal with that. Naruto just laughed it off. No, it's fine, I usually deserve it. I think it's her way of showing she cares. The blonde turned around, missing her frown as he addressed the teams. Alright, we'll split up once we get into the habitat and meet up to camp. We should always stay in radio distance as well, so let's move out. Kiba crossed his arms and sat down. Why are we listening to the doggy? The dog user yelped and stood up, rubbing his butt, and realized one of Shino's bugs bit him. What the hell, Shino? Sunlight reflected off his glasses, temporarily blinding Kiba. Naruto's plan is logical and it would be within reason to follow his strategy because it doesn't matter who comes up with the plan as long as it fits the circumstances and allows for flexibility, which it does. Hinata was still red as she poked her index fingers together. I agree with NN Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled in her direction until he noticed she was red. Oi Hinata, are you okay? You're turning all red? He tossed her one of his canteens. Here, drink that, you might be overheating. The canteen bounced off her hand as she fell backwards onto the sand unconscious. Hinata. Are you okay? Hinata. Both teams managed to get a scorpion when a Naruto clone found a cave teeming with them, and they managed to spot 2 with the yellow tags even though most had green. They were setting up camp and discussing the events of the day and their next moves. Wow Dobi, I'm impressed with those clones of yours. They made this a whole lot easier. Naruto stepped out of his tent. Yeah, and since we had 2 teams it was simple enough for us to watch your backs while Hinata used the Byakugan to locate the tagged scorpions. He gave the only timid Hyuga a smile that almost made her pass out. Those eyes of yours are really cool, Hinata. He then stuffed one of the onigiri she made into his mouth. Hinata, these are delicious, you'll make a great wife someday. The Hyuga couldn't take it anymore and fainted as Sakura cast a suspicious glance at her, then lightly scolded her teammate by punching Naruto into the sand before picking him up and violently shaking him. You baka, don't say those types of things to girls right off the bat like that. Cha, especially if it's not me. What does that pale-eyed whore have that I don't? After Naruto and Hinata regained consciousness, they set up watches for the night and agreed that there should be one person from each team at the same time. Sakura and Hinata both pulled the straws for last watch and were sitting by the fire awkwardly as the pink cat noticed the shy girl would occasionally throw dirty looks her way. "Do you have a problem with me, Hinata?" "I don't know why you would, I've said all of 2 words to you since we met." Hinata proved that every Hyuga is capable of their famous glare, even though she still looked cute behind all the anger. "Yes I do, Sakura-san." Sakura growled, "And what would that be?" "I think that you are a very mean-spirited person." "Oh, is that your reason?" "Why yes." Sakura gave her a taunting smile. "Are you sure that it has nothing to do with how much Naruto likes me?" The pink cat knew she hit the nail on the head when Hinata actually growled at her. "Yes. It's not fair, all you did was belittle and abuse him and he still worshipped the ground you walked on. You're nothing but a bitch and don't deserve someone as nice as Naruto-kun." Sakura palmed her face wondering if every guy she wanted to go after would suddenly develop a fan club. "You're right, I used to be a bitch to him but we were just kids and now our relationship has changed. People grow up, you know? Now we're best friends and really close, and I do everything I can to try to make up for my past behavior. I can't even apologize to Naruto because he would say there is nothing to forgive. I don't think that you want the 2 of you to be just friends. I don't like the way you look at him, and don't try to deny it. You've been doing it since we all gathered at the gate. You like him now too and it's not fair. I've always loved him, ever since I saw him. What gives you the right to take him?" Sakura laughed mockingly at her. "You know what? You sound like used to during the academy and after graduation for a while. I know you think you love him but you don't know what love is or Naruto at all. We're 13, Hinata, there's no reason to proclaim you love someone like that." "I thought I loved Sasuke but he was really just a means to an end, probably like Naruto is to you," Hinata gasped. "What do you mean?" I don't use people like that," Sakura sighed. "I know that you really believe that because I used to as well, but you don't know anything about him. I get it now. You're shy and quiet but he's confident and loud. You want him because he represents what you want to be and is just a crutch to you." Hinata was almost in tears. "TTH, that's not true. I really love him, ever since he saved me from those bullies." "Hinata, you don't love him. He's just your knight in shining armor that you want to give you a fairy tale ending, but life isn't a story like that. To you Naruto is an ideal and if you ever go out with him he'll never match up. It's like I said, I did the same with Sasuke. I projected what I thought the perfect guy was onto him and ignored all his faults and never took the time to know the real him until it was too late. I didn't really love Sasuke, I just fooled myself into thinking I did." Hinata's white eyes narrowed as she looked at Sakura and veins began bulging around her eyes. "Shut up, I love him and you don't deserve him. It's not supposed to be like this." Sakura had about enough of Hinata at this point. "You're fucking crazy bitch. You think that you loved him, but where were you when he was younger and needed a friend? I was stupid and may have been a bitch to him, but at least I acknowledged him. You claimed to have feelings for him but couldn't get over your own insecurities and help him when he needed it most. Maybe if you weren't such a coward you'd be with Naruto right now. The way I see it you missed your chance and there's no way in hell I'm missing mine." Hinata didn't verbally respond, she just loaded her palm with chakra and tried to make Sakura's heart explode. The pink-haired Janan jumped out of range and felt the chakra tickling her skin as Hinata tried to slam a palm into her chest. Before she could draw a weapon the Hyuga was in front of her again and would have delivered a fatal blow if Sakura didn't switch with one of the pieces of firewood Naruto unsealed from a scroll. Pulling out some senbon, Sakura was about to strike at Hinata's unprotected back until Naruto appeared next to her and grabbed her wrist while Shino put his hand on Hinata's shoulder holding her back as the veins around her eyes faded. Naruto gave the two a disappointed look that had them both looking at their feet like scolded children. "What's going on here? We're comrades and you guys were in a death match when you were supposed to be keeping watch. I thought you two were more grown up than that." Sakura couldn't speak and an awkward silence fell over the Janan until Shino broke it. "It would be illogical for us to remain together after this incident. We will take the headset back and leave after we pack." Naruto threw him the headset while Kiba and Hinata started breaking camp. 15 minutes later Team 8 left without a word and Sai spoke up, "It would probably be best if we move as well. The sun will rise in about an hour and if we get a good start we may be able to ambush a camping team and take their container." Sakura didn't answer, just gave Naruto a sad look as he ignored her and nodded, and Team 7 packed up camp before moving in silence trying to find a team to ambush. Fortune smiled on them as some of Sai's ink creatures came back and walked onto Sakura's map of the area and showed the location of the team and the direction they were moving, and to top it all off apparently they had a snake as well. After another 30 minutes or so of traveling, Team 7 was prone looking over the edge of an outcropping of rocks at the only Kuza team left in the exam as they argued and traveled through the desert. They weren't far away to make out the specifics, But when they stopped and really got into it, a monstrous black snake burst from the ground and managed to swallow the one with long hair before burrowing deep under the ground, crushing and suffocating the unfortunate nin under the weight of the sand. One of the Genin had a strange green mask put his back against a similar-looking Genin that was wearing the same mask except brown and both wore tan robes that covered their feet and were fastened in the front with extraordinarily long sleeves. They were waiting for the next move, and Team 7 didn't disappoint them as 12 cage bunshines also exploded out from the sand but were stopped by a strange green whip extending out of green mask's sleeves while mud poured out of brown mask's sleeves before forming into a ball that was levitating as it destroyed the remaining ones. Senbone burst through the smoke, but the mud ball expanded and formed a dome around the two that protected them from the projectiles. A few kunai with exploding tags destroyed the barrier, revealing the two were no longer inside. Suddenly the rocks behind where Team 7 was hiding collapsed as a hole formed and two green strands tried to wrap around the three Konohanin before the two Kuzujinan emerged quickly after. Some ink birds tried to dive bomb them from above, but another ball of mud emerged from brown mask's sleeves as it split into dozens of tiny orbs that launched at the birds, turning them into Swiss cheese before they reverted into ink. Team 7 had to put some more distance between them when the mud pooled over the sand under them and formed into spikes. Sakura was panting from the intense heat. "What are you? There's no way that Genin can control chakra like that." A strange mechanical voice came from Green Mask. "We are Genin. But we are also a new breed of ninja. For too long the 5 major villages have pushed us little ones aside and we've lived off your scraps. Well, no more. We are the first of our kind, made to overcome human limits." Naruto appeared behind them holding a kunai tightly in his hand. The grass whip hit his wrist, causing him to drop it, but it had an explosive tag that forced the two to separate as a clone substituted with him while Sai and Sakura went after the one with grass whips. Naruto surrounded the mud user by summoning clones, but most of them were destroyed as a wave of mud exploded out from the Kuzujinan in all directions. He took that brief moment of respite to pull out a syringe and inject himself with a strange yellowish-brown liquid before the largest wave of mud yet formed out of his sleeves and formed a river of the brown liquid that swirled around his body. "You Konoha ninja think you're so great. You may be known as the strongest village, but after these exams it will all start to change." He blocked Naruto's kick from above before a spike of mud pierced him, revealing it was a clone. He turned, feeling a disturbance from behind, and flew back as a left hook impacted his cheek. Naruto landed an axe kick on his downed opponent only for him to turn into mud. The mud then encased his leg and traveled up the rest of his body before it quickly hardened into stone. The brown-masked Genin walked up cackling. "Yes, this new chakra shot really makes it easy to control the seals on my body." The Kuzujinan gasped as he stabbed a spear of mud through the cocoon and it crumbled, revealing nothing was inside. He turned and blocked the stab with a mud wall but saw the exploding tag sizzling on the kid's chest before he hurtled the wall while saying, "Boom." An explosion rocked the clearing and the Genin's back pouch fell off as was launched away by the blast. Naruto opened it to find a tagged snake in a container and some of those chakra shots he was talking about. He stashed the pilfered goods into a scroll before moving out to meet up with his team. Sakura and Sai couldn't get close because those grass whips were razor sharp and increased in length and number after he injected himself with something, and now they were swirling around the Genin in an unpredictable pattern as he laughed. "You think that splitting us up will work? We were equipped to be able to fight as a team and individually. Each one of our powers was tailor-made so they would have strong offensive and defensive capabilities. You have no hope and your teammate is probably already dead." Sai finished drawing and summoned a large ink lion before responding, "He may have no penis but he is more of a man than the two of you combined. I would worry about yourself for now." As he finished speaking, Sakura threw some senbone and the grass concentrated where she did as the lion attacked from the other side and almost got a hit on the Genin until one of the whips destroyed it just a couple feet from the Kuzunin. Nodding towards his teammate, Sai drew several birds and released them as he dropped a scroll out of his pants and let it unroll before discreetly channeling chakra into it. The birds distracted him and Sakura was inches away from putting the masked nin out of commission with her senbone when it was deflected, but a poison pellet exploded at his feet as he laughed and breathed deeply. "You think such petty tricks will work on me? There's a rebreather in this mask, little girl. If you live after this, maybe I'll keep you as a pet for fun until I break you." One of the grass whips split and she was pierced by one of the ends but turned into flower petals that swarmed around the grass whips as they tried to keep them at bay. Sai saw the grass going out of control for no apparent reason and got the peace sign from Sakura. He got the message and sent the remaining birds crashing into the top of the shield, and it left his feet open as dozens of small snakes emerged from underneath and wrapped around the nin's body before Sakura hit him with one of her few lethally poisoned senbone just as Naruto's disappointed voice was heard. "Aw man. I was hoping that I could kick this guy's ass too. His teammate really pissed me off. At least we managed to get a snake." Sakura laughed, "Great, let's get going. I can't wait to get back and take a shower." The trio made good time and were about to leave the rocky area that covered the middle of the reserve. As they got to the end of the rocks, Naruto said, "Wow, we might get lucky for once. We're only a couple of hours away from the exit. When we get back I can't wait to get some ramen. I can't believe you wouldn't let me bring any, Sakura-chan." Sakura wagged her finger under Naruto's nose. "Ramen is good occasionally, but you shouldn't eat it on a mission because it doesn't have enough nutritional value and won't keep your energy up. However, when we get back I'll give you some Ichiraku ramen that I had sealed into a scroll." Naruto gave Sakura a bone crushing that left her breathless for a couple of reasons before she returned it. "Thanks, Sakura-chan, you're the best." Sai chose that sentence to ruin the moment. "I am just thankful we haven't run into Gaara. That would be a mess." Naruto's forehead ticked. "Damn it, Sai, read the mood." As Naruto was talking, the wind picked up and the sand blocked their vision as it swirled around them, but when the dust settled they were no longer alone because Gaara stood facing them with his teammates behind him as Sakura cursed, "Fuck Sai, you just had to jinx it." Naruto put his serious face on. "Well, it looks like you finally found me, Gaara." The Jinchuriki had a deranged smile on his face as he spoke. "I finally found you, Uzumaki." Naruto's sweat dropped. "Isn't that what I just said? Now I can kill you and give your blood to Mother." Team 7 got into formation as Naruto responded, "That's kind of creepy, she doesn't seem like a very good role model." Naruto thought. He heard Temari mumble something about not knowing half of it, but Gaara was the more immediate threat, so had most of his attention. "I know that you fight for other people, so to keep them from interfering I will have these two keep them occupied so I can enjoy grinding the flesh off your bones without an interruption." Once he finished, Temari swung her large fan and sent Sakura flying with a small cyclone before she pursued, while a puppet burst from the ground that forced Sai to retreat as well, leaving the two containers in a stare down. Sakura managed to right herself in midair and land on her feet as she backflipped when she landed, avoiding Temari's oversized fan as it smashed into her previous position, spraying sand everywhere. She tried to get over to Naruto to back him up, but that annoying slut kept pushing her back with wind gusts. When the two appeared to be specks, Sakura knew she'd have to go through the Sharingan as she opened and closed her fists a couple times in anticipation. "I can't say that I'm too disappointed that this happened. I finally get to put you in your place. Before I break that fan off in your ass, I want to tell you I'm sort of impressed that you can be such a frigid bitch and live in a desert." Temari stayed calm and laughed. "Please Pinky, you're just jealous because Naruto likes me more since I actually have curves unlike you. You could be a ruler, you're so straight." Sakura pulled out some senbon, holding 3 in each hand. "Whatever, I can't wait to turn you into a pincushion." Temari opened her fan slightly. "Please, you won't even touch me, just remember. When you see 3 moons the fight is over." Sakura threw the senbon, but Temari just swung her fan and deflected all of them. However, the aspiring medic nin also tossed some pellets high in the air while Temari was distracted that landed behind the fan wielder and burst into a cloud of smoke, forcing her to move as the pink hat cut the chakra flow to her weights and dashed at her, looking like red blur. Temari closed her fan and blocked the stab of the kunai and jumped back when Sakura launched a needle out of her mouth towards the sandy blonde's face, then jumped back and formed several seals before exhaling a purple cloud. "Ninpa, Dokigiri." Temari opened her fan, showing 2 moons, and blew a more powerful gust that dispersed the cloud, but Sakura was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly 5 Sakuras appeared around her and she scoffed. "So you're really using the bunshine? No wonder why Naruto's not dating you, that's pathetic. The bunshine no jutsu has no use in a real ninja battle, but you're probably just playing little Princess Kunoichi, aren't you?" Temari did a 360 and a gust of wind went out in all directions, but the bunshines didn't disperse and one charged with a kunai drawn. Temari blocked the lone Sakura's attacks with her fan, yet somehow she was punched in the stomach from a different angle, but when she looked nobody was there. The one that attacked jumped back and a different one charged. She parried its attack, but her counter went through it before she felt a kick in her spine. This time when the next clone charged, Temari faced it and stopped her chakra flow as it disappeared and could sense the real Sakura coming at her from the southeast. Pretending she didn't notice her, Temari opened her fan, showing all 3 moons before turning in the pink hat's direction when it was too late to dodge, and swung it, yelling Kamitachi no Jutsu, sickle weasel technique, as a powerful gust of wind impacted Sakura as she was thrown back and sliced multiple times. Temari approached the bleeding girl as she lay on her stomach, clutching it in pain. Standing over the girl, Temari gloated, "Looks like you're pretty pathetic after all. I wish Gaara wasn't going after Naruto so I could make him mine and hang it over your head, but what are you going to do?" Temari was cut off when she heard a click and felt something pierce her thigh, and the wound started burning immediately. She clutched the wound before falling on her side, hissing in pain. She looked at Sakura and saw a small knife handle with no blade and a spring visible where it should have been. Looking down, she saw the blade lodged in her thigh and dripping a clear liquid out of a small hole in the bottom. You're lucky that since it is just an exam there isn't a fatal poison on the blood, but that stuff hurts like a bitch. You can thank the girl in buns for giving me the int. Sakura could say no more as she passed out and the ground started to shake as a massive form started to take shape in the distance before two Naruto clones came and saw the two fallen girls. Damn, we didn't get here in time. We were supposed to stop their fight before they hurt each other. I guess we should just take them somewhere safe. The two bent down and picked up the unconscious Kunoichi before taking them back into the rocks in a sheltered area as a large figure of sand rose up in the distance. Sai dodged the senbon the strange wooden puppet launched from its mouth as he tried to locate the puppeteer. After getting pushed back into the rocks by the wooden contraption, it expelled some noxious smoke blocking them from view, and he hasn't seen the Jinan since. He surrounded himself with ink animals because the puppet would follow him wherever he went and he needed an active defense. Sai dodged a ball of paper bombs, but as he landed another one was already rolling towards his feet and exploded, spreading ink everywhere. Kankuro cursed from his hiding spot and continued to lead the ink beasts on a wild goose chase, trying to hide his position and locate the strange artist. He saw the pale kid again hiding behind a sand dune drawing something onto a scroll. He split Karasu up to make it harder to notice and sent the arms and legs at the kid, but the spikes pierced the dune as the pale artist dodged and a large snake coiled around him while a bigger one burst into hundreds of small snakes and spread out to look for the hiding ninja. After stifling another curse, Kankuro slowly shifted positions and found a ledge that was better hidden and almost inaccessible to the ink creatures. Relocating his target, he reassembled his puppet and sent it flying at the ghostly boy as a barrage of kunai from its wrists that hit nothing but air as Sai jumped. But that was what Kankuro wanted because he couldn't dodge as Karasu's chest opened and flames were expelled from the cavity as the giant snake burst forward before losing its form and covering the flamethrower in ink, making it worthless. Kankuro wasn't worried as he smirked and the back of the puppet popped open as flames burst from its back and the flamethrower turned into an explosive projectile that was moving too fast to dodge, and the resulting blast engulfed the ink user and Kankuro breathed a sigh of relief. It was cut short though when Sai landed in front of him. Looking up, Kankuro saw a lone ink bird circling and swore, not because of the boy in front of him but because of the massive sand forming where he left Gaara. Fuck it. This fight is over, kid, we should just get away from here before Gaara goes on a rampage. The boy took his hand off his tanto as the bird dived and he jumped on as it hovered just off the edge of the cliff. Fine, but for some reason I'm really disappointed we didn't finish the fight. Don't worry though, we'll finish this later, hopefully before your sex change surgery. Naruto felt a sense of relief when Sakura and Sai were whisked away by Gaara's teammates. They may be fighting alone, but at least there was some distance between them and a crazed Jinchuriki. Naruto turned his attention fully to his opponent and looked into his eyes and had to suppress a shiver. His irises were dilated and his eyes bloodshot as Gaara started at Naruto like he was hungry. He knew that there could be no holding back here and raised the headband over his left eye while closing the right. The world immediately slowed and he was able to observe every detail in perfect clarity. He saw that the sand was being moved by a combination of earth and wind manipulation and could see where it would be before the sand could even move. Gaara launched a wave of sand at Naruto that the blonde saw before it was even launched and danced around it while forming hand signs and calling out Fyuuten, Goku, as he sent a barrage of wind spheres at the redhead and watched as the sand protected him from getting drilled. Looking around, Naruto saw the chakra moving through the sand at him and jumped as it exploded where he just was as it tried to engulf and crush his body. He threw some shuriken at Gaara and saw the chakra take on a human shape as a clone of Gaara formed out of the sand and caught the shuriken and threw them back at him while charging at the blonde. Naruto saw a chance. Most of the sand-containing chakra was moving away from Gaara except for a small shield around him, leaving the redhead's defense stretched thin. He threw several kunai with explosive tags wrapped around the handles and paid no attention to the clone but saw the chakra stream change as it moved to intercept the knives, and the tags ignited, blowing the sand all over the place while he released the chakra from his weights and disappeared behind Gaara before performing the most basic move of the Ozuken. He pivoted 180 degrees on his right leg and put all his strength and momentum into his right fist as he swung it in a vicious backhand, and to his surprise, hitting Gaara was like hitting rock, and hurt. A lot. The reason became apparent when his skin cracked and crumbled before turning into sand and showing Gaara's real skin unharmed underneath a layer of sand. The blonde saw the chakra forming in the sand by his feet, but he was overbalanced from trying to get a knockout and couldn't dodge as a giant fist of sand formed before slamming into his gut, sending him barreling across the ground. Gaara started laughing. Yes, Uzumaki, show me more of your power. It will only make my victory that much better. When your blood is spilt, my existence will be confirmed. Naruto swore under his breath while thinking, his defense is incredible, I may have to use that move even if it's usually 50-50. Alright, I just have to focus and I'll get it no problem. Excite my chakra as much as possible and make it move as fast and chaotically as I can while still being able to control it. The blonde was sweating from the exertion of trying to regulate his chakra flow as it was on the brink of flying out of control, which would cause the technique to backfire, leaving him vulnerable. Forming three hand seals, Naruto held his right wrist with his left hand and tried to gather as much chakra as possible and make it dense as he could. He felt his control slipping and knew it was now or never as the sound of birds chirping filled the air. A ball of lightning surrounded his hand as he watched the sand swirling warily around Gaara, allowing the sharingan to predict the movement. He hardened the sand under his feet and pumped chakra into his muscles before exploding forward, sending sand rocketing everywhere behind him. Naruto never moved this fast before and he almost paid for it when a sand spear came too close for comfort as it came in from his right. He jumped over it and watched the chakra swirling while he ducked under the whip of sand and pushed himself to the left as he landed, avoiding a ball of sand careening at him. He could feel the chakra fading quickly and felt relief when he threw his fist forward, yelling Chidori, and felt it pierce flesh, and even though the sand redirected it so only half the attack hit and the lightning was losing density, it still almost removed his shoulder, showing how deadly the attack really was. Gaara's pain scream echoed across the sandy plains. My blood, mother, what is this? He made me hurt. I've never felt this before. Wow, how could a guy like this make me feel pain? Sand began to surround the left side of Gaara's body, covering his wound and creating a giant claw of sand with blue and black veins exposed that he pointed at Naruto and screamed, Suna Shuriken, Sand Shuriken. Naruto saw the bullets in advance and dodged them as Gaara appeared before him and clubbed him with the claw, sending him into a dune. Man, that sand has to weigh a ton, but that was still faster than me, so that means Chidori is out. He formed a cross-shaped seal and muttered Taju Ukage Bunshin no Jutsu as hundreds of clones burst from the dune he was in and tried to surround Gaara. The redhead raised the arm and launched more Suna Shuriken at the clones, dispelling many, however most were able to dodge the projectiles thanks to the sharingan. The clones split into three separate triangles and advanced from different angles. Naruto learned from the clones' assault that when he was like this he had no automatic defense. A plan formed in his head as he smiled deviously before he rushed at Gaara. He approached from the Jinchuriki's blind spot, and when he started to swing the sand arm at his clone, Naruto launched a Goku that hit him in the right side of his torso, probably breaking his ribs as the container screamed, and several clones managed to several good follow-up hits in before a sand wave pulsed from his body and destroyed the remaining clones. Ah, you hurt me again. Yes, this pain only validates my existence more. Uzumaki Naruto, you are the most fun yet. I can't wait to kill you. While he was talking, sand began to overtake his body until only one teal eye remained of Gaara. The other was a weird gold with a cross-shaped pupil, and the sand formed another claw on his other arm and two legs and a tail, all with the same blue and black veins. Naruto saw the sickly yellow and black chakra that flowed through those veins and shivered at the sight of the tainted chakra. He heard a growling in his mind as the sand beast that was Gaara slammed into him. Calling out to the Kyuubi, he appeared before the massive cage. What? So you need more power, boy, even with that fancy eye? I hate you slightly less than I hate being hypnotized, and if you die then I do as well, at least for a while. So take my chakra, but know that it is not without consequences, mortal. The chakra bubbled out of the cage, taking the form of the fox, and Naruto held his hand out as his whole body was engulfed in the evil chakra and he saw the real world once more. The chakra surrounding him was messing up the sharingan because it was moving on its own and was too chaotic to predict its movement and was making it hard to even see his opponent. Closing his left eye and lowering his headband, Naruto opened his now red right eye and noticed that the usual vision dip wasn't as large as it normally was. He could also smell and hear a lot better too, and there was a strange tingling sensation, but he didn't care about that. He just wanted to pound this bastard into dust, then piss on him. That defense was really getting on his nerves. As he was about to jump, two long ears and a tail formed out of the chakra. His eye was red with a slit pupil, his hair was wilder. The whiskers on his face were darker and more feral, and his lips were outlined by a thin black line as he smiled wickedly, revealing his elongated canines. I feel great. Who needs the sharingan when I have this? Naruto charged, and a chakra claw extended from his arm that slugged Gaara and sent him sprawling. He leapt at the down container, trying to drive his claws through Gaara's face, only to be slammed by a stream of sand. He recovered in midair and landed on all fours before the two crazed Jinchuriki charged at each other and collided as sand met red chakra. The two were sent flying backwards as the sand claw extended and smashed Naruto in the face while his tail sliced off the other one. He landed in a heap as his wounds quickly closed, but the hit cleared his head, allowing him to think, damn it, fox, I don't need this much. He forced some of the chakra back as the tail and ears disappeared, leaving just a red shroud around him. Gaara rushed at him and he dodged before launching a Daitapa that created a sandstorm as Gaara was stopped in his tracks. Summoning a horde of clones, they charged. Gaara body slammed him. The clones that didn't disperse were sent flying, but Naruto charged in from behind, intent on making someone else feel his pain and humiliation that hasn't left him since the day of his Sharingan test. Konohagakure Hiden Taijutsu Ogi, Senin Goroshi, Konohagakure's most famous and hidden technique, 1000 Years of Death. He shoved a kunai with a supercharged explosive note under Gaara's tail, remembering that the least amount of chakra was concentrated there, and jumped backwards as it detonated, sending the redhead careening into the sand, unable to summon up any more energy. I can't lose to a guy like this. I won't lose. I must prove my existence. Calling upon the Baiju, Gaara felt his coils fill to the brim with potent chakra and molded all the sand he could, and created Shukaku's body as it towered above the reserve, visible to everyone in Suna. Eat this, Uzumaki, Ryusa Bakaryu, Sand Tsunami. Naruto looked at the large wave of sand approaching him. Fuck, how come I don't get any cool powers like that, Kyuubi? You're such an asshole. Thinking that this constituted a life or death situation, Naruto bit his thumb and made some seals before slamming his palm on the ground. Kushios no Jutsu. A puff of smoke appeared and the wave of sand broke in the middle as the rest of it flooded across the desert. The smoke cleared and Gamiken was standing there with his Sasumata on his back and a large sake dish in front of him blocking the sand. I'm surprised that I stopped that. I'm ungraceful, you see. It is the Shukaku. I will do my best. But I may not be able to get it done. Because I'm very uncoordinated. Don't worry about it, Ken. I have faith in you. Let's take this guy down. Do you have any ideas how? Ken grabbed his Sasumata. Bunda fought him before. He said he and Jiraiya woke up the host to defeat him. I may not be able to do that. And he's not even asleep. I'm sorry. I'm not very elegant, you know. Ken jumped as another wave of sand was launched at him, and as he landed, Gaara called out Tanuki Nari no Jutsu, feigning sleep technique. He threw his sake dish like a saucer and it slammed into the Shukaku but went flying away, not harming the Tanuki in the slightest. The Shukaku called out Fuutan, Rinkudan, wind release drilling air bullet, as Ken jumped again and landed next to his saucer and picked it up to block the following one, getting pushed back hundreds of feet. Damn it, that was rough. Ken, if you can hold him down, I'll hop onto the head and wake Gaara up. Ken nodded. I'll try my best. But I'm quite awkward. Stand still, little froggy, I just want to kill you. It won't hurt that much. The magenta toad hopped to the left and was pushed back by another Rinkudan as he landed that he blocked with the sake dish. He waited for it to fire another and launched himself in the air above the Shukaku and slammed his neck into the ground, pinning it between the prongs on his Sasumata as he struggled to restrain the beast. Naruto pumped Kyuubi's chakra to his legs and launched himself off Ken and landed on Shukaku's head. Sand tried to crush him but was stopped by the red shroud while he ran towards the redhead and smashed a fist into Gaara's face, waking him up. The sleeping Jinan jolted awake as he was hit again, making the Shukaku lost its shape, and Ken returned home, causing the two to tumble through the air. It was a peaceful day for the Namikaze Kage, one of the most relaxing in recent memory. His wayward son was out of Suna and the populace much happier. The paperwork load was light and he was thinking he may finally get some time for Icha. After all, it was hard being a widower in a cage. Despite being the most powerful ninja in Suna, he got less stale than a green Jinan because of the workload he had to deal with. After signing the last document of the day, he reached to his hidden drawer containing the greatest secrets of Sunagakure and his little orange book. He got a bad feeling and looked out his window before his hand pressed the secret button, and he cursed the deity who liked to screw up his life when he saw the Ichibi no Shukaku in all its glory. Shit, dragon, assemble all available sand forces and tell them to meet me at the site of the second exam. The cage jumped out the window after opening it and flew towards the reserve on a platform of gold dust. Damn, what could make you lose control during the Chunin exams, Gaara? He arrived at the gate seconds before several platoons of Suna's Black Op Force, Sand, Strategic Assassinations and Demolition. Alright, I want all of you to go in there and secure the Jinan. The man lost his train of thought when he saw a giant toad appear and stop the Ryusa Bakaryu in its tracks. What the hell is Jiraiya doing in the exam area? Does anybody know what's going on? The leader of Suna turned his head when he heard a boisterous laugh behind him and saw the toad sage in all his glory. I forgot that his reputation is well earned. To sneak up on a cage even during times of duress is amazing. What is going on, Jiraiya? If you are here, then who summoned the toad? The Senin stopped laughing and addressed the sand shadow. I don't think you need to worry about anything. Your son might have bitten off more than he can chew when he decided to go after my new apprentice, though. It looks like he has everything under control, doesn't it? As he finished talking, Ken pinned the Shukaku and they watched as it fell apart shortly after that before the toad went back to Mount Myaboku, and the Kazekage felt a headache coming on from the past 5 minutes. It was such a good day too. Why do I get the feeling this new student will be more of a menace than the old one? His only response was Jiraiya's laughter ringing out once more. For the first time since he was 6, Shukaku's voice wasn't pounding in his head and Gaara was petrified. Now he was truly alone and the vessel of the Ichibi didn't like it. He couldn't move his body or summon any chakra. The formerly undefeated Sabaku no Gaara was at the mercy of his opponent after his first loss. Using almost all his energy, Gaara turned his head and could see the blonde struggling to get to his feet. He managed to stand but fell forward onto his knees and hands. He pushed off and was on 2 legs again before he stumbled and couldn't lift himself back up, so he started dragging himself by his hands. Gaara was trying his hardest to back away but he couldn't move his body and gave up, but Naruto persevered. His arms could no longer support him, so he was anchoring his chin into the sand and using it to drag him forward towards Gaara. "No, get away from me. My existence won't end, it can't end." Naruto stopped and looked at with empathy. "It hurts being alone, doesn't it?" Gaara would have raised an eyebrow if he had won. "I know the pain of loneliness all too well, and no matter how strong you are, it can never be overcome by yourself. You know, I used to hate everyone in my village, and if I had some crazy powers like you I probably would have lashed out too. But people acknowledged me. I got more and more friends as time went on, and now I'm happy. It wasn't easy, but most things worth doing never are. I know that you can overcome your situation because you're strong, and I was just a failure, unable to do even the simplest of things." Gaara stopped struggling and listened to the only person he knew that could understand him. How did you do it? I've never felt physical pain before today, but my chest was always aching. Whenever they look at me it hurts and I can't stop it. That's because you're sad, Gaara, and you want to be recognized as a regular person, not a demon. I know how hard it is to make friends for people like us, so I'd like to be your first one." Gaara was dumbfounded and tested the word on his tongue. It's been years since he last said it. "Friends. I'd like that, Uzumaki Naruto." When the sand user finished speaking, Kankuro landed and picked him up before slinging him over his shoulder. "Stay away from him, kid." 2 Naruto clones then landed in the clearing holding the 2 unconscious girls before Sai landed an ink bird behind the clones. They gave Temari back to her brothers before jumping away, anxious to finally complete the second exam. Kankuro carried his siblings over to the rocky outcropping and set up camp. Temari stirred, and when she opened her eyes Gaara said, "Kankuro, Temari. I am sorry." He received 2 incredulous looks as Temari answered with a smile, "It's no problem, Gaara, don't worry about it." She turned her head and looked wistfully towards the exit. "Thank you, Naruto." Sai opened the door to their room while he and Sakura supported Naruto between them, and they were surprised when they Kakashi laying on Naruto's bed. "Congratulations, my cute little students, I'm proud of you all. You guys managed to pass the second exam and with a day to spare. I must confess, when I saw the Shukaku manifest I just knew that you guys were in the middle of it. I swear, Naruto, you're a magnet for dangerous situations." Naruto self-consciously scratched his head as Kakashi continued while handing Sakura a piece of paper. "You 3 have to report to this location tomorrow at 10 a.m. I assume they want to see who passed and explain the third test. But for now let's go celebrate with a team dinner." Naruto stopped his sensei before they left the room. "Actually, Kaka-sensei, before we fought Gaara and his team we ran into one from grass. The one that I was fighting had these syringes, and after he injected it he got a lot stronger." The blonde unsealed several syringes that the copy nin inspected. "Good job, Naruto. I will send these back to Konoha to get tested later, and if it proves to be valuable some money will be added to your account." After resealing them, Kakashi pocketed his book and led his team out of the hotel to celebrate. The next day the trio arrived at the coordinates and entered the building. They walked down a hallway before standing before a larger door, and when they opened it they saw a wide open room with patches of sand and concrete making up the floor. There were 6 teams assembled. The rookies and guys team represented Konoha with their respective sensei. Gaara's team represented Suna, standing in front of a tall man in standard Suna uniform with a turban and veil covering the left side of his face, and the lone Kumo team stood there in front of a muscular dark-skinned man with 7 swords strapped to his back and his hair in cornrows with a white headband bearing the Kumo symbol. He was wearing sunglasses and a wide vest that left the right side of his torso exposed, with black pants and a red sash around his waist, and had the kanji for iron on his right shoulder and 2 small parallel blue stripes under his left eye. After Team 7 was on the balcony next to the other Konoha teams, the wall slid open and the Kazekage came out, flanked by the 2 previous proctors and a 3rd ninja behind him. The new ninja was wearing a tan flak jacket over his dark brown shirt that was tucked into his pale yellow pants. He had green hair that went to his shoulder blades that was pulled into a ponytail and wore a white belt around his waist with the Suna emblem proudly displayed. The Kazekage sat in a chair that appeared in a puff of smoke and removed his hat and veil, revealing the resemblance between him and Gaara. Congratulations on passing the second exam. Usually we would just tell you about the third exam, but it seems we have to trim the numbers this time around. Surprisingly 18 Shinin have passed the second exam, and we can only have a maximum of 8 partake in the final round. He stopped before the green-haired ninja picked up where he left off. Because of this we will have a preliminary tournament with one-on-one matches until only 8 of you are left, meaning one of you will likely have to fight twice. The ceiling opened up and an electronic board lowered. Your names have been placed into the system and the computer will randomly generate matchups. If you lose you may have an opportunity to advance if you are chosen to fight twice and win the second match. However, winning your first match means nothing if you have to fight again, as you can be eliminated if you lose. The board started flashing. The first fight shall be.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.